So one of the things my clients ask me about a lot is what do these metals mean? What when I have this little cluster of patron saint metals, what does it mean? And it's true. I design with three particular saints in mind.
Okay.
So usually it'll be something along the lines of, well, what three saints go together? So for instance, I sometimes like to put St. Francis, St. Anthony together because they were both Franciscan monks.
Okay.
So St. Francis obviously started the order of the Franciscans. And many of my clients, they tend to be spiritual in some way, but not necessarily always. And generally, more often than not, they're not religious, but they are spiritual.
Okay.
So we have great commonality, and they'll ask me, I love dogs. Like, is there a certain patron saint that would be for dogs? And I'll say, well, yes, it would be St. Francis.
Okay.
St. Francis believed in kindness, and he is the patron saint of animals. And on his feast day, you can come and have your animals blessed at Mass.
Okay.
So it's really kind of nice. Another favorite of mine would be Our Lady of Guadalupe.
Okay.
Our Lady of Guadalupe is the patroness of the Americas, and she is known for saying, I am the mother of all peoples. And to me, that is a beautiful, poignant message that even today is so powerful. At the time, Spain had come to the Americas, and the Spaniards were very brutal in their colonization. I mean, they really subdued the native peoples.
Mm-hmm.
And, Ferdinand and Isabella, they were very much into, we're spreading Catholicism and we want that to be. But, many of the indigenous peoples suffered greatly. And she appeared to a man named Juan Diego, who is the patron of San Diego. So we call him Saint Juan Diego.
Okay.
And he was an indigenous man. And he appeared to her, and she appeared to him, and she said, I want you to tell the bishop to build a church here. And he was he didn't know what to think of it. This beautiful lady appears to him in an apparition, and he said, well, I'm just a humble peasant man. I mean, they're not going to believe me. I'm going to go there and they're going to say, get out of here,
Yeah, who are you?
Who are you, right? And so she said, no, I want you to take your poncho, and there is a name for it, forgive me. It's a beautiful poncho that was indigenous to his people. They absolutely did this beautiful handiwork, and he was wearing that. She said, I want you to take that, and I want you to show him. And so he really didn't know what she meant, and then all of a sudden he smelled roses, and it was just a big field of roses, and he didn't know what that was. She said, go on to that hill where I want him to build my church, and take back what you find there. So at that time, roses were not native to that area, and it was the complete wrong season for them to even be blooming. So he filled his cape with the roses, and he went, and he presented them to the bishop, and the bishop was amazed because when he opened his cape, all the roses fell, and on his cape was a beautiful image of Our Lady of Guadalupe. And that to this day hangs in the Basilica in Mexico City. And it's been examined and looked at, and science has looked at it, and they don't really know what to make of it. So it's a beautiful example, and people make a pilgrimage to that basilica yearly to pay homage to Our Lady of Guadalupe. But when she said, I am the mother of all peoples, she meant you have to stop fighting. Stop fighting, stop killing each other. This is not the way to, develop this nation. Mm-hmm. And that message still holds true today.
Absolutely. So I'd like for you to, if you can take a moment and share with our audience your process, the quality of the materials that you're using when you're making your pieces, if you can share that with us a little bit as well.
Okay. So, as an artist who's worked in the same medium for a long time, I always wanted to make my work stand apart because I wanted to showcase my craftsmanship. I wanted to let people know that when I design a piece, I really put a lot of thought into it, and I really make sure that it's well made, because that's my work. That's what it's like to be a craftsman in America. And I love the fact that you know, if you talk about jewelry in America, it's a very specific niche. I mean, you can look at specific designers from hundreds of years ago, 100 years ago, and you understand it. You know,
Right.
you understand Art Nouveau jewelry. You understand a piece that would be Art Deco, and you know, collectors love it and appreciate it. I started doing something called silk knotting, which is a Chinese tradition.
Okay.
It's been around for millennia. And the whole point to that was that you silk knot every individual bead, because the stones that you would be using were supposed to be valuable, right? So
Okay.
if your piece broke, you wouldn't want all of your beads to fall and be lost.
Wow, that makes so much sense now.
So
Okay.
that's the idea behind silk knotting. But I love it even more because it has a very beautiful feeling, the way it drapes and the way it hangs. And so I started doing that, and of course I love glass beads, I love natural stone. But I started silk knotting in every color, and I love using different color knot with different color beads. So in this yellow necklace, for example, you've got the bright, bold beauty of the yellow, and these are glass beads from Czechoslovakia. They're just so beautiful because of the color and the opaqueness of this yellow. And then the orange silk knot in between brings out the warmth of the yellow.
Absolutely.
So I love that contrast, and when I see people rocking this necklace, I'm just like, ah, yes.
And you can't miss it, of course, because I mean the boldness of the color, of
Yeah.
course. But I think it came to us here at Sundappled in the perfect timing because of the shifting in the seasons and the weather. I think it's a beautiful piece to wear. It reminds me of sunlight. It reminds me of spring. It reminds me of summer. It reminds me. It just has like that freshness to it, that vibe, that freshness to it.
Absolutely.
So I think this is going to be a great piece for you, you know, to come into Sundappled, try it on, you know, think about what you have in your collection as far as ensembles of like your clothing, your attire, what you wear. I know this piece is already set apart for someone very, it already has your name on it, so you just need to come into Sundappled and pick up this piece, of course. But that is definitely a great piece, and I'm glad that it's here in the shop space. So, and then tell us a little bit more about, besides the glass beads, tell us what else are we looking at in this selection here that you've brought to us.
Yeah, okay. Well, I had come across these really fabulous glass blown hearts, and I love hearts. I mean, I don't know, they're just so...
They're beautiful.
They're sweet,
They're,
you
yeah,
know? But these have this sort of beach glass feel, and they're very marbleized, and there's different color in the glass. So I really love these. And they're just all different colors. So when I started to design, I said, oh, I want to just do a necklace with all of them going all the way around. And so I love that design. And then I have 3 Virgin Mary saints, because I love her, and she's so fabulous. And so that was this one, and I just think it's so great for Valentine's Day.
And remember, these pieces that we're looking at today are unique, handcrafted, handmade. They are one of a kind. And you had mentioned earlier, Cynthia, that you don't make like you move on to the next.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's always something uniquely different about each piece. So no one's getting like a replica of something else.
Oh, absolutely true. I mean, a lot of times I'll shop and I'll really, spend a lot of time looking at, the perfect color, the perfect hue. I mean, not all purples are alike, not all pinks are alike. So I'm very discerning when it comes to procuring the kind of materials that I want to work with. And oftentimes I'll buy, a limited quantity, enough to make a necklace and maybe a bracelet and maybe a little pair of earrings. And I might do 2 sets like that at the most. Yeah. So a lot of times I'll tell my clients, if you love this piece, get it because I may not be able to ever recreate it. I mean, I will buy a very small amount of things. I'll design the piece, and then that'll be it.
Right.
So I like that because I really like to feel that everything that I create is distinctive.
Absolutely.
And there's very rarely two of the same kind of something. And I think that is really great, and my clients really love that because a lot of my clients specifically buy my work for that reason. They've never seen anything like it before. There are people that do design with, you know, religious icons and things, but it's always in a different vein. Like it's either very antiqued and very sort of got that Parisian romance feel. My work is bold and colorful, and the two are in contrast to each other, but there's a very specific reason. I mean, growing up, you know, my grandmother taught me all the stories about the saints. So I love the lore. I love how interesting their lives were.
Yes.
And I love the miraculous stories that people come to me with and tell me about. You know, for instance, I'll say, oh, you know, this one has St. Anthony. St. Anthony is the patron saint of lost items.
Okay.
So if you are praying about something that you need to find, he's your man. And
Awesome.
when he was at the monastery, he had a very special prayer book. This is how he became known as the patron saint of lost items. He had a prayer book that was lost, and he lamented it because at that time books were very rare. It was a very special thing to have a bound book. We're talking the 1400s. I mean, only wealthy people had libraries. So, and that was a very the kind of a collector that when he had a library, he collected books. It was very esteemed. Only the wealthy did that. So he had a little book of prayers, and it went missing. And I guess somebody who was at the monastery had just made off with it. He just took it. But as that person was on the road to where he was going, he became incredibly frightened because he said that he saw an angel that reprimanded him for taking the book. And so he went all the way back and gave it back to St. Anthony because he was just like, I shouldn't have done this.
Have your book back. Here, it's yours.
Please, let me go in peace.
Yeah.
I don't want to be plagued by this angel ever again.
Yes.
So that's why he's known as the patron saint of lost items. And there's a beautiful prayer that was written. And I guess the author is unknown, but the prayer goes like this.
Or, you know.
The sea obeys and fetters break, lifeless limbs thou dost restore. Treasures lost are found again, when young or old thine aid implore.
Wow.
I can't remember it. I can't believe I remembered it.
Good job.
There we go. So yeah, St. Anthony is a wonderful. And I think in Italy, women pray to St. Anthony to find a husband. So girls.
So there you go.
I mean, whatever works, right?
Get your prayer on, girl.
Whatever works. Get it done. Put a ring on it.
That's right. Oh my goodness.
So, yeah.
Well, I want to talk about the earrings because when you came in today, I personally ended up, you know, purchasing 2 pairs that I just fell in love with, and just so you know, I'm wearing a pair right now. I love your earrings. I love your entire collection. I own a few of your pieces already, and I can tell you this much: extremely durable. Like the way they look like they would be fragile because you're like, oh, glass. I'm afraid, you know.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I have this beautiful bracelet, and every time I wear it, I always get compliments on it.
Oh, I love hearing
all the time. I get compliments on it. Or I get people that are just constantly staring at my arm. They're constantly staring at my wrist. And I know it's because I have the bracelet on.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely a showstopper.
I love hearing that.
Yeah, definitely a showstopper. And so I love the earrings. I'm happy with my purchase. I'm going to wear these. I know today when I run errands later on, I know people are going to be looking at my ears, and I'm okay with that. So let's talk a little bit about your earrings.
Yeah, so the hoop earring, I mean, I love the hoop earring. I think it is a beautiful shape. I feel that the hoop earring is feminine. It's sexy. And I just always loved the shape. So, you know, in what I do, I design with bright, bold beading. And I just thought, you know, why don't I make a hoop earring? And then I thought, well, okay, how am I going to do it? So I came up with a little wire wrapping technique, and I've loved it ever since. And I've sold hundreds of pairs of hoop earrings because I love them, you know,
Yes.
and I'm not alone. So you have this really great earring on because yours is actually exceptional, because that size hoop is generally for that woman who is very confident and loves to be looked at and admired, has a beautiful presence, and of course the fact that you're a singer. I was
That's
just
why I
like,
got them.
Vanessa, you have to get these earrings
Yes.
because they're just showstoppers. And
Yes.
and a lot of women are not necessarily comfortable with that size.
Right.
But when you know that you're okay with it, you just rock those hoops.
Absolutely. And I love though that you have different sizes, which is great. So I mean, like
Yeah.
something like this, would you say this is your biggest size that you do create?
That would be the large hoop.
The large, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
And
And
then
then
where's your-
something like this size would be considered a standard size hoop.
So let's put that up.
So very like, you know, this is kind of like about, I would say 2-inch diameter. And that tends to work well
Oh, I
for a
see.
lot of women because it's not too much. And they're very light because the beading is small on this one.
That's the other thing I noticed
Yeah.
the difference. Obviously, these are heavier, you know, on,
Little
on
bit, little bit,
just
yeah.
a little bit, not like you're feeling like you're down to the ground, but
Right.
yeah.
And
And
then
then-
this size would be a smaller size. I'll just kind of hold it up against my black sweater, but you
See?
can see there's it's
Mm.
generally for the client who likes the hoop earring but doesn't want it to be too big, and so this is really accessible to a lot of women.
Right.
I actually like both. I wear the standard size, and I love the smaller size when I just want to put something on and go,
Yeah.
and not be so not worry about anything. And then I also made a fun little hoop that I called the bauble.
That's really cute.
But this is a really fun one. This is called the Mardi Gras bauble earring. So it's like a little hoop, a little metal hoop, and then I've charmed all these little colorful beads at the bottom. And I had a line of bracelets and necklaces that I did that were so colorful and all charmed out. And those really made me think of Mardi Gras, which we're coming up on that time now, right?
Yeah.
Because you celebrate Mardi Gras before Lent. You
Yeah.
get all of it out of the
Yeah.
way, eat, drink, all the sweets, whatever you want. And then when Lent comes around, you know, you make a sacrifice and you give up what you have to give up.
Yes.
But yeah, so of course all those sort of festival, carnival colors,
Yes.
that's in the Mardi Gras hoop.
So we've replenished with Cynthia. She came in today and spent a little bit of time here, and I told her, wait, we got to get you on a shop talk before you head out, because you obviously are not around the corner. Most of your
That's
shows,
true.
you're more in the south side of Orange County, would you say?
Yeah. So I'm you know, from the Newport Beach area. I live in Costa Mesa. I love that little city. I've been there for over 25 years, and that is where I work and design and live. And I'll do, you know, little shows around there generally. So when I come up to Claremont, it's a little trek, but you know, I love coming up. And so, yeah, so I think I just need to make a venture up here more often because it's so fun to come to Sundappled.
We always have a great time
Talk
with
to
you.
Vanessa and talk to Marsha.
Yep.
And I mean, the things you have going on here are so impressive.
Well, yeah, and you're part of that, and that's why, you know, I said, wait, let's make the most out of this trip then, because she doesn't live around the corner. So I thought, let's just like, you know, just put it
Yeah.
all into one big bundle here. But the shop talks are a part of the whole movement and everything we have going on here at Sundappled, and it's very important for you to see the beautiful artist behind the product and allowing her to be able to share the time and the quality of what she's making, the types of beads and
Yeah.
you know, the everything. You mentioned also that you came up with, and this is what I love, because this is what sets you apart, and people know Cynthia Morehouse.
Yeah.
You mentioned you came up with your own like wiring, right?
Yeah.
And we don't have to elaborate on that,
Yeah.
but the point is that you've come up with your own system
Yeah.
in which you make and you're creating. It's
Yeah.
almost like your own personal thumbprint, you know?
Yeah, and I
on
think that my clients at this point, another thing I love to hear is, I mean, of course I love when my clients get compliments. That is very wonderful, and I know they love it. But I also love when two clients randomly meet, and they've never met each other before, but they recognize the work. They recognize my jewelry, and so they geek out about it. It's like, it's like being part of a fandom, which is so sweet because they talk about it. They're like,
Yes.
I know that artist. Oh my God, is that a Cynthia Morehouse? And I always get tickled because I'm just like
in the middle. You're like,
I mean, I feel like a sighting in the wild. It's very sweet, and of course it just reaffirms what I love to do, and that I'm glad I do it. I really love to design jewelry, but more than that, I love when women feel beautiful.
Right.
Because we should all feel that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's been such a joy having you here today and just kind of interacting with you. And then even earlier, we had a lovely gal come into the shop, and you were able to, in essence, share what you're sharing here now on our shop talk with her and have that moment with her.
Yeah.
And that's what's really special, that you get that hands-on, that personal, like, one-on-one time with people, and you're able to really make that connection with them, because it's not just a piece of jewelry. There's the story, there's everything in it, and there's your love and your passion for it, and you feel that when you're wearing it. Like I feel amazing wearing your earrings, but I know part of that is because the creator behind it, because the energy that you're putting into it, it's like it's being transferred over to me, and it's a beautiful energy. It's awesome, and I love it. I just love it.
Well, I'm glad to do it, and I love to, I really do love to talk to my clients. I love to hear about their lives, and when I talk about, what I do, I think that makes that personal connection, and I think that resonates with my clients. Jewelry, the purchasing of jewelry is a very emotional experience. I mean, you're drawn to something, you admire it, but what you start to create in your mind is this awesome fantasy about how you're going to feel, how you're going to look when you wear it, and that is great. I mean,
Yes.
that's what fuels the purchase and the collection, because you never know why you're drawn to a piece of jewelry, but you know that you are, and when you are, it's like, oh, I gotta have that,
Right.
And I also think that women that have that response and they are discerning about what they purchase, it's because they know how great it is to feel a certain way when you put on the right piece of jewelry.
Right.
A great pair of earrings, fabulous ring. I mean, it promotes confidence, it makes us feel empowered, and I mean, then my work is done,
Right.
So, and I do love sharing, more of the trademark aspects of my work. Like, for instance,
Yes.
The patron saint medals that hang at the clasp, but also the glass flora and what that means to me. And, when I talk about the stories of the saints, it's always great to not just talk about the stories, because I love the lore, and their lives were so interesting to me, but also to hear people's stories about how they connect with saints or with those stories.
Right.
Or I mean, it's amazing to hear that. Those are little miracles that happen that we should share.
Absolutely. So you're going to have to come on out here to Sundappled Boutique to come and see the freshly stocked Cynthia Morehouse jewelry line here. We have earrings, we have necklaces, we have bracelets, and just in time for the Valentine's season, right?
Yes.
Even for yourself, you should treat
Come in
yourself.
for your sweetheart.
That's right. Or come in for yourself and purchase one of these beautiful pieces here. We're here Tuesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And as always, Cynthia, thank you so much for coming in and hanging out with us today.
It was very fun.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye, everybody. We'll see you soon.